Thursday, August 30th. I have no idea why I did that. It's just Thursday morning. Tomorrow make sure I've seen your book report book. You have until Tuesday to change your book report book if you want. The only homework I'm going to give you this weekend, which I'm telling you now, is read your book enough to realize if you hate it or not. If you hate it, then change the book. There should be a book out there that you don't hate. Or just push through it and just be like, I hate the world. But I would not recommend that one myself. Your first quiz is tomorrow. 4 things you're going to have to bring in. A pen and a pencil. You're going to have both of those items. Bring your notebook to my class because that's going to help you out. And then you're going to need the handout from the first day of school, which I disappeared so I can go grab it. So you see, it is this handout from the first day of school. That's the one that you're going to need, so make sure you bring that one with you. And you have those 4 things to make your life easier. If you don't have the handout, it's fine. It just means you can't look at it to answer the questions, and you have to use your own brain. And then also we're doing the pasta bowl, which is where the whole school has the competition bringing in pasta. I will give you B points. Every box that you bring in gets you 3 B points, up to a maximum of 15 B points. And so you can bring those in starting, well actually, if you have them like in your pocket, you can bring them today. But if you're watching this at home, that's not going to help you at all. So bring them tomorrow, and you have next Friday to bring those in, and then the competition will end from there. And then also, if you paid attention to Mrs. Randall's class, we have the Heroes Pizza Party coming up next Friday. So in 8 days, ocho days, is after school and after we have sports practices, 5 to 6:30. $6 if your family hates you, $10 if they come with you. Bring either pop or food of some kind that we can eat and make it all kinds of foodsies. And then bring the money and give it to Mrs. Randall. And now we're good to go from there. Those of you playing the live game, now take the handout from yesterday and you're going to turn it face down so you can't see it. That way I get a chance to go through and ask questions, and we're going to see how well the stuff is stuck in your head without you being able to look down at the thing in front of you. If you have it turned over, that's where the kid jabbing stick would come in, because we didn't call you a cheater. That would be awful. And then we get to go into new stuff, and then I have a whole new story for you today we're going to practice with, because we've already did yesterday's creepy story, which hopefully changed your life in wonderful ways. The first one we have is plot. What is our simple definition of plot? Let's try this again. What is our simple definition of plot?
What happens in the story?
There you go. I figured it's so early in the morning, the more we can sort of work together, the better. What happens in the story part's nicely done. And then we got the character, which is?
Who's in the story?
Good job, Wade.
No, it could be animals.
Someday we'll work on doing it all together. Who is in the story? So characters, who is in the story. Doesn't just have to be people. Don't be an anti-animalite. Animals can be characters too. And sometimes objects, depending on what creepy story that you have. Or sometimes small rabbits with giant horns on their head. Setting. 2 parts to it, which is?
Where, when.
Nicely done. The where and the when, the time and the place. And then we got the point of view. And the definition of point of view is?
Who's from their point of view.
Ooh.
What the character?
How the story is being told.
Way to tag it. How the story is told to us, how we are seeing it in some way. Trying to stick with the hiccups, not sticking with those. The what, who, when, where, how. There are 3 points of view that we're going to be using. The first point of view is? First person. And then the one that follows one character is?
Third person limited.
And the one that follows many people?
Third person omniscient.
And then the one we're not going to use is?
Second person.
There, we have first person, which is the main character talking to us. Then limited, then they're big, fancy. It's locked, you can't get back in. No, you can't get back in. And then the big fancy word on here that you refer to the person that's creepily following you is?
Omniscient.
Narrator, or omniscient. That's not a creepy word, that's the big long word. But we have the narrator, and that's one that follows one, and then the narrator following many. Did I talk about video games with you guys yesterday?
No.
I don't think I thought about it until after your class, so just to hit on that real quick. Because I realized after you guys, and so this connects really well to video games, because that's a natural thing that I enjoy. But video games use point of view all the time. There's a type of game called first-person shooter. Like Overwatch is a first-person shooter, where all you see is like the character's hands in front of you, and that's how you can tell, because you're seeing it through that character's eyes. If you were to go to Minecraft can switch back and forth. I'm going to get to Fortnite, down my eager beavers. But you have Minecraft. You start off in first person, where you just have the hand and the pickaxe, and the hand on the other side, and you're running around. And then all of a sudden you get excited because you buy like your brand new monkey skin. You want to see your monkey skin? You're like, I want to see that monkey skin. I spent all those imaginary dollars on. And you hit the button and it changes view, and now all of a sudden you're looking over the shoulder of the characters they run around. That now becomes third person. In Fortnite, what point of view is Fortnite told in?
Third person limited.
Nicely done. Third person limited. But Fortnite does become third person omniscient when you die.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Because then when you die, it goes from your point of view to whoever killed you, and then follows that character. And then when they die, it jumps again, and so it becomes third person omniscient, and then jumps from character to character.
Just goes like a random person.
Unless, you know, you get your victory royale, and it's like first person limited all the way. Sam? Okay, have you say anything? I don't know why I thought you were raising your hand. That's ridiculous. Let's see, so we have that. Surveyor 2. Now, we did our other story. Now you can flip the paper back over, so we get to do more of our fascinating notes things. They all turned theirs over, but you were gone, so it's okay. You're on that page you're on now. Don't freak out too much. All right, so now we get to fill in our next part, which is theme. Now, theme, we're going to abandon that whole who, what, where, when, how, and because I ran out of good words to use. So theme is completely different, although you guys kind of touched on theme yesterday. Now we get to go back to seeing who's brave. We have bravery with what a theme is. We do have some brave. Talia?
It's like what the moral of the story is, or what the author wants you to learn.
Nicely done. You actually hit both the parts I was going for. Go Talia. Way to rob all the other kids of their answers. Theme is going to be the thing that you learn in the story, or it sometimes can be a moral of some kind. Now, it'll throw kids off because they're going to say, well, what about science fiction or mystery? That's a theme. That's actually a genre. It's a type of story. A theme is like don't snitch on your friends, or don't poke animals with a stick, or you should be good to people. So a theme is that thing that you learn overall in the story. Don't trust adults. Teachers are evil. Whatever your particular theme might be. Whereas opposed to science fiction, mystery, that's a genre. Fables have morals, like little short ones about animals. Like, slow and steady wins the race. Be kind to others, stuff like that. Those would be the different types of themes. So that's a theme bit. Theme is tough. In all the stuff we are going to do with short stories, most of you seem to figure out point of view yesterday because I tried to get tricky and you're all like, way too smart for you. The only other tricky thing I can throw at you when it comes to short stories is going to be theme. And so we'll be taking a look at some examples of that as we get into them and just sort of figuring out that thing you're supposed to learn. It just requires a bit of imagination, which many of you guys have lost because of this thing called phones and technology. So we're going to try and slowly stretch that imagination muscle again. It's the thing that SpongeBob talked about in the cartoon. Imagination. Nicely done. Internal conflict. So now we're going to get to two types of conflict. Well, one, do you know what conflict is? Ooh, wow. All the time. That's why I have siblings. Eckenbeer?
Conflict is when it's either like conflict. Conflict could be like something bad when, like, say like your brother hits you, and then you hit him back, and then you start beating each other.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience.
It is.
So a fight of some kind. So a conflict is a fight. It can be physical, it can be verbal, but it's a fighty bit. Mason?
Something that goes wrong?
It can be. So usually that conflict, then it goes wrong, and then that's where Eckenbeer punches a sibling and stuff like that. Sam?
The problem of the story?
It can be, yeah, it can be. It can be connected to that. I can definitely see the problem popping up in there. Mason? Not Mason. Cole? I have no idea.
The internal conflict is like the main problem of the story, like the main kind of big thing that's happening. Like in Star Wars, like Luke Skywalker used to kill Darth Vader, but
He
he
knows
doesn't
his
want to kill
father.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. Spoiler.
Mm.
Brayden?
Wow.
Okay, so the internal conflict is the conflict between the main characters, and basically conflict with the main character's self,
Not bad.
arguing with itself.
Because that's where our next definition will be. Do you guys know what internal means? Which is?
So
Nice. Like, it means inside. Like you have your internal organs, which are the squishy bits inside of you. When your internal organs become external organs, you become what's called dead. And so you want to make sure you keep them all inside of any bits. So internal conflict is a fight that happens inside of a character. You guys have internal conflicts all the time. It's a fight that happens inside of your head. Is it like when you're crazy? No, that's called being crazy. An internal conflict is when you have to do, should I do this or should I do that? And so an internal conflict is a decision.
Got the order for
Hey, the thing that Papa Seiler said you're going to bring by first thing in the morning. So is Carmona just like to give you backup to get here?
Yeah.
That's very honest of you. It's a nice shirt you're wearing there, Carmona.
Thank you.
Had- Had no idea that you were on the Honor Society. Things we... seventh graders. So it's going to be a major decision that a character has to make in the story. Should I talk out loud in class, or should I keep my beat points? Should I go get a book from the library, or should I stay here and not have to watch the video? So that becomes this internal conflict that a character has to make in the story in one way or another. And then we get to external conflict, which goes back to Eckenbeer. So if internal means inside of you, what does external mean?
Outside.
And so it's a conflict that happens outside of you, and this is where you get to get into a fight. So internal conflict is a decision, external conflict is a battle between things in the story. It is always written as, and this is the part you're going to have to remember, something versus something. So you're always going to write it out as, Bobby versus the bear, Jimmy versus the bad haircut, new girl versus evil cheerleaders. And so it's something versus something. Will Michael?
Last year, I thought it was like man versus man.
That's the generic one. And so I'm going to make you guys actually figure out. When you guys go into composition class, they do generic also. I'm not a generic person. I like making you guys actually figure out what the thing is going on. But yes, there is the man versus nature, man versus technology, man versus boring answers. And so instead, I'm going to make you figure out what two things are fighting. It's much more fun for me to make you guys think. All right. So the battle between two physical things in the story in the fighty bits. Now what we're going to do is I have an example story we're going to take a look at, and then we're going to figure out if you can do these 7 elements of a short story on this example story. You're going to figure out the plot, the characters, the setting, the point of view, the theme, the internal conflict, and the external conflict. We'll see how well we can do it from there. All right, here's our story, which I will read to you. It is a version of one that you have probably heard before, so hopefully you're somewhat familiar with it, which will make life a little bit easier for you. The Tortoise and the Hare. There once was a sassy rabbit who thought he was all that in a bag of chips. He would brag to all the other animals in the forest about how much faster than them he was. "I've never yet been beaten," he said. "Whenever I want to win, I will most definitely destroy anybody who steps up. I challenge anyone in this forest to race with me." A friendly turtle, who'd been listening to the annoying bunny for weeks on end, said quietly, "I accept your challenge." "That's a good joke," said the confident hare. "I could dance around you all the way. You're not even worth the effort of a laugh." "Just keep talking," answered the tortoise. "Until you've actually beaten me, your words mean nothing. Shall we race?" So an impromptu racetrack was created, and the start line was dragged in the dirt. As soon as the owl yelled "go," the hare took off at a sprint and was almost out of sight at once. But about halfway down the track, he stopped and came up with a plan. He wanted to show that dumb turtle just how stupid he was for sassing him in front of his friends. To insult the scrubby little tortoise, he just laid down in the middle of the road and took a nap. The tortoise, meanwhile, plodded on and on. He ignored the rabbit and just did what he did best: walk without stopping. Eventually, when the hare awoke from his taunting nap, he looked up to see the tortoise almost across the finish line. And no matter how much he sprinted and swore, he could not catch up in time to save the race. The tortoise and the hare. So now, let's see how well we can figure the next part out. You don't have to write down the next part. Eventually you will. If you turn your paper over on the back side, you're going to see there's 2 different columns there. That's for 2 stories we're going to do next week, where you're going to have to actually do part of this as homework. So right now, what we're doing is practice homework. So I'm not saying write this part down. I'm just showing you this is practice, which you're going to eventually have to do all on your own with your own brain. As scary as that might be. All right, so plot. We're going to go ahead and break our plot down into 5 parts. Let's go with the very first thing that happens in the story. What's the first thing that happens in the story to start us off? Braden?
The very first thing is that the hare is mocking everybody in the forest, and the tortoise decided to be a smart boy and race.
All right, I can see that. He torture. She's alive. Welcome back. Taunts everybody and then goes from there. Did you did you bring anything with you? I didn't see your stuff. Drop it down there. Mason!
The rabbit's talking trash.
Works for me. The rabbit talking trash. Let's see, I went with rabbit brags about being the fastest. Pretty much works for me. Alright. So then, when next time I do this, I like to make a plot sandwich. I do the first thing, and then I do the last thing. And then you sort of work towards the middle. So how's the end of the story happen? What's the very last thing that happens in there? AM?
The turtle wins the race.
Works for me. Turtle wins, rabbit loses. And then we're going to go to the very middly bit. So you have the top, the bottom. What we're going to put right in the middle. Cole, who got confused and seemed to just fly around the room.
The rabbit sleeps in the middle of the race.
I think that worked. Let's see. I went for the rabbit and the turtle racing through the woods. I think I put that as number 4. So then what happens between these two? Rabbit brags about being the fastest, and the rabbit and turtle race through the woods. Will Michael?
The turtle accepts his challenge to race.
Nicely done. And now what would be number 4?
Oh, the rabbit sleeps in the middle of the race.
There you go. The rabbit takes a nap to taunt the turtle. And so that breaks up our whole story into 5 bits. Beginning, end, middle, other thing, other thing. And that's pretty much what we'll do for each one. I'll have you figure out the very first thing, the very last thing, a thing in the middle, and you sort of plug it in, and that breaks our whole story up into 5 things, gives us an outline. Of all my years of doing it, this seems to make it the easiest. Now, characters. I say we have 3 characters in our story. Marvin, who's our first character that you say? Works for me. Malachi, the second one?
Here.
Works for me. And then Zoo, our third one?
Ow.
Zucchini.
Wow.
Nicely done. So it gives us hare, tortoise, owl. Now, every time I have you guys do a character, you also have to give me a description of the character. It doesn't have to be long, just something you use to describe that character that makes it different than the other ones. So how would we describe the hare? Clara?
Annoying.
Like bunnies usually are. Ooh, I went for sassy and fast. Annoying would also work. We call those things opinions. But I'm perfectly okay with that one. And then the tortoise. Gerardo? He is
Slow, but smart.
works for me. I went calm and slow. Sure. And then the owl, who does not do a whole lot in the race, but I mean, we still have to have some kind of describing bit that goes along with him to help us out from there. Blanca, how would you best describe the owl? What is one thing the owl did? Remember the owl in the story? What did the owl do?
He just said go.
Nicely done. Told you he didn't do much in the race, but he was a character. Like all he was like, go, I'm out, and he was like turned around and walked away. But technically that counts. For the setting, let's go to sure, Jordan. First off, baby steps. There are 2 parts to a setting. What are the 2 parts to a setting? You can use the handout. Looks like it comes in handy. Nicely done. Thank you, handout. The when and the where. For the when, I'm not really sure it told us in the story, so you kind of have to use your imagination a bit to sort of figure out when you think it would be. Talia?
Did you just say daytime?
Sure. Why do you say daytime? Sure. AM?
You're facing the day?
Sure. Because if not, they bounce off of trees. That sounds like, I mean, if it was like dong, 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 they'd be like, oh, that was probably the nighttime. That was a poor choice. Maddie?
I don't know. I was nocturnal, so wouldn't it be during the night?
You would think so. And that would be good evidence. I know. I'll give you credit on that one, but no, the owl was, I'm guessing, not. I went for a completely different direction and just said a long time ago. And I think that might have been in the story, but daytime would also work. I'm not going to throw shade on you for either way. For the where, hopefully that would make things a little bit easier. So, Marin, overall, where did our story take place? Works for me in the forest. I think that's what I have on there. No, I put racetrack on it, so you kind of hit both parts. So where, the forest, and then the racetrack. Ooh, point of view. First off, was it told in first person or third person?
Third person.
Nicely done. Then did it follow one character or follow many? So what's it going to be? There you go, because it followed more than one character. Ooh. For the theme you learn, What is it we were supposed to learn from this story? If you've ever heard it before, there's like an actual moral that goes along with it. Sam?
There'll be 2 copies.
Ooh, why does that apply to the story?
Because the hair got 2 copies and that.
I would accept that. Not the one I was going with, but that is definitely a thing that they should learn. Green?
Never underestimate someone
How does that apply?
because the hair was like, I'm still gonna win, so I'm just gonna take a nap.
Works for me. I went for... No, not that one. The slow and steady wins the race, which is like the technical one for it, but I think your guys' worked better because it was definitely about being sassy and learning lessons from there. Blah, blah, blah. Internal conflict. The turtle had to make a decision in the story
Except the race.
to accept the race or...
To decline it.
Nicely done. The one thing I will yell at you for is never use the word not in your decisions because it's weak sauce and makes you a globetrotter. And so I'll call you globetrottering because you're like, to accept the race or not accept the race. Slap you right there. So to say accept the race or decline it, that one I'll accept. I went to race rabbit or just move on. The rabbit also makes a big decision in the story. Well, Michael?
Take a nap
Or?
to decline it.
I'm not sure he declines the nap, but if he doesn't take a nap in the middle of the race, what could he have kept doing?
Winning chapter.
There you go. And our last thing before I let you leave, our external conflict. What is the big battle?
The race.
Racing.
And how are we supposed to say every external conflict? Something versus something.
The battle.
Hair.
There you go. What do we have going on tomorrow? What 4 things do you have to bring?
Pencil, notebook, and
Paper.
Take off.